Hey YouTube, it's Earl, and it is a wonderful Saturday night here in Louisiana. Before I jump into my little bit of a rant or funny story today, thought I'd share with you what I'm smoking my tobacco out of. It is a 7LA 315, and it is just a lovely pipe, and it's a I forget the name of the line, but the real beauty here is that stem, just that color on the stem. First, let's get it focused here. There we go. And then the stem. No, let's focus on me. Oh well, this beautiful color on the stem. And tonight, out of my 7LA 315, I am smoking some Peterson Deluxe Navy Rolls. So, with that, tonight I thought I would bring to you guys a little bit of a humorous story I ran across yesterday. Appeared in the New York Post, not the Onion. I'm pretty sure this isn't a hoax, because the New York Post pulled it from the Sun in Great Britain. And so, I mean, anything could be a hoax, but let me dive in. The headline reads, "Man whose penis fell off due to a blood infection is now growing one on his arm." Okay, and so the story, more or less, is about this bloke over in England who had an infection that either his doctors couldn't treat or he didn't take care of himself. The stories don't really go into it, but you start to get the idea from the guy and his story that maybe it's more him than the doctors, but what do I know? Anyway, and all of a sudden his penis and his fingers turned black after years of fighting this infection in his nether regions. And he says, at that point, I knew I was going to lose it. And it was like a horror movie. And every man's horror movie. And then he goes on and he begins to describe how one day it just falls off and hits the floor. And he just puts it in the bin and takes it to the hospital. And they say, well, there's nothing we really can do for you, except we're going to roll it up like a little sausage here. And then maybe several weeks later, his general practitioner says, you know what? I found out about this guy who makes bionic penises and will take some nerves and cells and blood vessels from your leg and some other places and actually graft it on to your arm. And the penis will grow on your arm for 2 years, and then they detach it and then put it in its proper place, which is interesting to say the least. But the funniest part is the way the guy describes everything, from his penis falling off and just putting it in the bin to take it to the hospital, to he's like, every now and then I'll be at a pub and somebody, because he wears long sleeve shirts, but it's like, every now and then I'll be at a pub and somebody will get a gander at it. Sure, they'll make jokes, and I've learned to make jokes about it too. I mean, how could I get by? I mean, I understand it. It's not every day that you see a man with a penis on his arm. And then, he also says, if I couldn't make fun of the fact that I've got a willy growing on my arm, I'd be finished. From the fact that he's nicknamed it Jimmy because now it's his best friend. And he's also, in the news article, he's also quoted as saying, "I can't leave it alone, just like any other man. I'm constantly fidgeting with it." And you just start reading it, you're like, what in the world? Now, admittedly, so it's interesting to read the New York Post summary of the Sun article, because I think the New York Post people who wrote that article really sought to paint it in a funny light, and the Sun maybe not as obviously did the same. But at the same time, like, the story made it sound like 3 or 4 of these operations have been done ever. And I post this news article on Facebook, and I have a friend of mine who's a doctor, and he says, "Oh yeah, hey, I took part in one of those surgeries for a teenager who had, when he was a young infant, a dog had attacked him, and he needed reconstructive surgery, and that's how we did it. I took part in that." And so evidently this is a thing, men, that if for some reason something happens to your manhood, then you've always got hope that they could potentially graft it onto your arm. The funny part to me was on the story was like, it was supposed to be there for 2 years. They're going on 4 years now. And it's like everything from missed appointments to sickness to not enough staff being at the hospital to now COVID has been the reasons why his surgery has been delayed. Anyway, it's all quite amusing for this observer. I'm sure it's not quite as amusing to him or his family or his friends. But anyway, I thought I'd share a funny story with you on a Saturday night. I'll post links to that story, and hopefully I've actually shown you some screenshots of the news story itself. But look it up, read it. I think you'll find it as funny as I do. Guys, y'all have a good night. This has been Earl.